Emergency response agencies recently participated in a mass casualty drill at the Lake Charles Regional Airport, where time is critical and every second matters. Executive Director Heath Allen explains.
Federal Aviation Administration requires commercial airports to have what they call a mock disaster drill every 3 years. The idea basically is to simulate an aircraft incident which involves mass casualties or significant numbers of injuries and/or casualties. It's basically to test the response of the airport. So the airport is that first line defense in terms of aviation disasters. The FAA also requires the airport to have a fire department, and of course that fire department is the initial response to any type of incident that we would have on the airfield. And then we're supported by all of the local agencies through mutual aid, whether it's Acadian Ambulance, Office of Emergency Preparedness, Lake Charles Fire Department, you name it, all of those agencies respond as well. So it's a mock disaster to test the response of all those agencies. Aviation is is the safest form of travel. So obviously we hope that we never have to do this for real. That's part of why we do it as a drill, because it's very rare for this to happen on airports. If you don't ever do anything, you don't really know how to respond to it. And you want to test the system, see where it breaks and everything else. That way you can fix it. If you don't ever do that, again, it's not like a city fire department where they're rolling their fire trucks on however many calls every day. So when you do that, you get used to that sort of thing. Airports are just totally different, thankfully.
Emergency Response Coordinator for the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, Paul DeStout, tells us about the scenario they were given for this drill and what their role was during the event.
The scenario was that a plane came in this morning and had an accident on the runway. We had 26 people that were potentially injured. We had Acadian Ambulance here with 9 other ambulances to do triage, and we have several of the hospitals from the different parishes, mainly Beauregard, that were also following the scene, and then they were taking on simulated casualties in their parish. That way they could be part of the exercise also. OSEP's role, we are gathering information, we're pushing information to the state, we're also pushing information to the parish administration on what's going on, and we're filling any type of outside requests that they would have. In other words, we ended up simulating that we would open up Burton Coliseum so that the families of these victims would be able to go to Burton Coliseum and get information and so on.
Calcasieu Medical Reserve Corps was a key player during the drill.
We provided all the volunteers to be victims, and we actually had volunteers who were doing the makeup for them, putting on, like, they got burnt, they got bruised, broken arms, anything we could come up with scenario. So when the responders got there, transport them to a medical facility. That medical facility had to triage them with those certain wounds. Some of our volunteers stayed at the hospital like a couple hours, pretending they were going to x-ray to get their MRIs, anything like that to basically test their system. You really couldn't do this without a volunteer. You could always do it on paper, but having a live body there to go through all the steps makes it so important.
For the Parish Line, I'm Margaret Higgins.